Welcome back. Not a podcast. Jackman, producer extraordinaire, headphones with wires. That's right. He's not as young as he looks.
I'm old school, baby.
Old school, baby. Bart Pietrzak, owner, CEO of ProjectPowerGym. What's up, dude?
What's going on? We're back at it. We're here on a Saturday.
I know, right? It feels cool. It
Yeah.
feels cooler on a Saturday for some reason.
I like the Saturday vibe.
Yeah,
the energy's good.
Gym is popping.
Some young folk in here.
After Thanksgiving, young folk. I don't know why we talk about my age so much. I'm not even fucking old. Anyway, it's probably my own doing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing solid.
Thanksgiving went well?
Thanksgiving was cool. I was tired. I know we briefly touched on it, but I drank for that Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, yeah, we talked preemptively. This is post. How do you feel about it? That's what I told you beforehand, dude.
Didn't do anything for me.
I know.
Yeah, didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, there's the experience. Yeah, but it's not a good one.
Yeah.
So why do it?
My sleep has been shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Literally since Wednesday.
The
So
fuck is the point? Sorry, I'm not mad at you. But, Papa Bear's never wrong. What else is new, man? How's business?
Business is cool. It's I think like it's good. It's going well. I'm doing the proper inputs just over and over again, and I'm having faith in the process essentially. But yeah, it's like now I'm starting. These questions are arising in my head, and one of them's like, am I providing value? Like this is like it's like a doubt.
Okay.
It's a bad doubt to have.
Okay, and where's that coming from?
I don't know. It's like it's that urge to want things to just happen quickly, and like I picked podcasting, which doesn't happen quickly.
Mm-hmm. What do you want to happen quickly? What are you trying to get to done?
If we freaking blew this thing up to 1 million followers tomorrow or something, right? Like,
well, don't feel bad about this because like it's me, and so it's not gonna be 1 million followers, bro. Sorry to disappoint you, bro.
I think we're getting to get there. Yeah,
Just
I think we've got a good set of a couple of us, maybe some ladies that are out there watching.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know
enjoying
one,
the show,
hopefully. Yeah. Dude, so you question how much value you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And you question your value because you are you understand the capacity and potential of what it is that you're doing, and you've noticed that it hasn't been reached, and even the progress toward reaching it is taking longer than you would like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So in your evaluation, what are you evaluating to determine whether you are or are not bringing enough value to the table?
One of them is what other people are charging. One of them is the vanity metrics, which people say don't matter. I think they do in some capacity, actually.
Vanity metrics as in likes and shares.
Likes, followers, subscribers.
Well, for you, it quite literally matters because that's how you're going to make money off of what it is that you're doing. So it's not vanity. Like that's the currency of social media.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a dollar. It's an online dollar, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So views, clicks, which, by the way, if you're listening to this shit, share the show. It's not a show. Click subscribe. Comment. Let's have a conversation. I will be responding to you personally because that is the currency. That's how you add or dissolve value on anything online is how much attention does it get. So I wouldn't beat yourself up on caring about likes because that's what you're selling to customers. If you go and sit down with me on a fucking couch and start explaining to me how what you're doing can improve my business without showing hundreds of thousands of likes and follows and this and that, you're talking concepts,
right?
You're talking theories and theoreticals. And again, people who have experience don't listen to theories and theoreticals because we've heard them before, we've read them, we've learned about them, and then through our own experiences found out that they're mostly bullshit. So go on. That was two things.
Yep. So the prices that others are charging, the vanity metrics, or my KPIs, as the business folk like to say.
KPI.
The key performance indicator.
Oh, okay.
Go
on. I wasn't going to embarrass myself with what I thought that meant.
Clicks.
This is not spelled with a fucking K, you idiot. Anyway, I didn't go to. Okay, go ahead.
Well, you did go to college. I don't know who the dumbass is that paid for it, but
You know what I wrote back? I go, hey, listen, college is about education. And even though I didn't go to class, I still got an education.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's 100% right. Those two.
So you're not charging as much as everybody else.
I'm charging more than everybody else.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so that's what makes you doubt, am I valuable enough for how much am I charging?
Yep.
Okay. You know, the most straightforward way to answer that is, are you gaining clients? If you're not gaining clients, then you're not adding enough value.
Okay. I'm gaining clients.
Okay, so that means you're adding enough value.
Okay. Now here's where I'm like, this is like the production is like an art to me in a sense, right? And like obviously I'm on a budget, so I don't have the cameras that I want, I don't have the lighting set up, but yada yada yada. Like, what do you think? Would you suggest taking a loan out to get the right equipment, to get the right?
So you said you're gaining clients.
I'm gaining clients slowly,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to pay your bills, and are you able to pay what you need to pay for? Okay. Of the clients you're not getting, what is their response as to why they're not giving you their business?
I've only had that happen a couple times because after one of our conversations, I haven't been searching as much.
Okay.
Because I want to make the product perfect. But one of them was, what I was going to do for them was come to their studio wherever they were at, record it for them there, and the studio they had was shit. It was the background was terrible, yada yada yada. So they went on to these people out, somewhere out in West County, I'm not sure where, but these people that have the studio that edit for them, that create maybe like one short for them a week, and it was significantly less expensive. And they're like, hey, we like you, we like the quality that you bring, but it's just these guys are just so convenient that we're just going to take them.
Okay. So would the loan you're taking out be for convenience?
The loan I would be taking out would be for quality.
Which they did not say was the issue.
Right.
That's my point. So when you look at like, hey, should I get investors? Should I get funding? Should I take a loan out? Should I put myself into debt? The only time that makes sense is to solve the problem that's keeping you from gaining business.
Okay.
Specifically. Now, you might like your product more, right? But if the market isn't interested with what you think would make it better, then you're not going to gain any more business from taking that loan out, right? That means then you can continue to build your business organically without a loan and then improve it how you would like it to improve on your own dime. Therefore, not putting yourself into positions where you have to become desperate to be able to pay monthly installments moving forward, right? But if you're not gaining clients and it's something you can solve by just throwing money at something, well, then it makes total sense.
Gotcha.
Right? Same thing here, dude. I want like 5 more pieces of equipment in here, and I would love if I could very easily go to a bank right now and get a loan for that much money and get those 5 pieces of equipment. But what you do is return on investment in your mind. Has anyone told me that when they don't sign up because I don't have this or this or this or this? No, they haven't. Okay, well then I'm not going to gain anything from putting those 5 pieces in. Now I might hit a home run of what people aren't even thinking about or whatever. But like when you're growing, when you're initially creating stuff, you're the point of a business is to solve people's problems, period. So if they're not telling you something is a problem, and if you're not diagnosing something to be a problem truly from their perspective, then throwing money at it you're not gonna gain anything from it. So you're gonna put yourself in debt and you're gonna have the same problems you had before. So I don't think that would make sense unless you start hearing or seeing that when people choose somebody else, their shit is much more polished. And because another thing that's very true is people will lie to your face to save themselves. So, I mean, it's happened countless times where people say that there is no problem, but really what they're saying is, I don't want you to try to fix my problem because I'd rather just walk away versus continuing this interaction. So no, everything's, it's me, not you breakup. I don't want to fix this. So I'm just going to put all the responsibility on me and not you. That's when you have to be very aware and really sit down in the shoes of your customer of your client base and really run yourself through the experience very honestly and without any bias toward your art.
How do you do that?
Well, you basically sit down and literally run through it. Be like, okay, I want to start a marketing podcast avenue for my business. Okay. How do I find a podcasting company? How do I find a marketing company? You Google it. Okay. Google. Where do you come up on Google? Right? Like run yourself through a unknowing potential customer's experience throughout the whole process without implying any of the actual knowledge you have about your business. Like for me, I didn't have a sign for an entire year, right? So that's how I would run through it. I'd be like, okay, I'm looking for a gym, and I would Google, gym around me, and then we would be like number whatever. So then I'm like, okay, that's the first thing the person sees. What does that have to look like to entice them to click? So then I'm like, okay, Google shows this first sentence of this thing in our website. So I have to make sure that sentence is legit so that entices them to want to click. So then they click. What do they see once they click? How soon do they see a phone number? How soon do they see an email? How soon do they see a contact point? How much bullshit do they have to scroll through? Because they're not going to, right? They're trying to solve their problem, not appease your art. Mm-hmm. So right away, you should see some sort of contact point. Okay, when you hit that contact point, how quickly do you hear a person's voice? You know what I'm saying? So like run your through. Okay, now we're on the phone. Now we're talking. What's the consultation like? What's the initial hello? What's the initial how are you? What's the initial how can we help? What's the initial response? That then primes you to figure out where your problems are in your process of finding to buying. And you have to make that process as easy for the person as physically possible. Which means, what questions would I have as a customer? What would I care most about? As a person who's trying to grow their business through a marketing advertisement, what would I care most about? What would you assume I would care most about?
Yeah, you care most about your image and people seeing that you have a gym that is successful in the background. You getting your values and vision of the gym out succinctly in.
For what purpose do I care about all those things?
So that people understand what gym they're going to.
Which will do what for me?
Get you new clients.
That's all I care about. That's the basics. That's the why. I care about growing my business, and how I grow it is I get more members to come into the door. That's it, right? So I too am a higher price point gym in the area. This area, there are some major players who have completely fucked up the concept of value when it comes to gyms. People are so used to paying $10 and $20 a month for their gym that anyone who's trying to do it single-handedly has a very uphill battle, because to convince someone a $65 membership is more valuable than their $20 a month membership, you better bring some fucking heat. You better bring some value. You better bring some legit foundational truths through your business. That's what mattered to me about this, is I care about literally every person that comes in through the door, and I don't pretend to care. I'm not a business that's trying to showcase a commercial to say that we care. I legitimately care. So I know that when you come into this building, you're going to get taken care of. And I know that if you have been to other gyms and you come in here, you're going to feel that difference. All I need people to do is to come in. Okay? Once they do, the place takes the environment, the energy, the people, the community, the standards, everything else takes it off my plate now from a selling standpoint. I don't have to sell. This product is good enough where it stands alone. So for me, the most important thing is to gain clients. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to consistently give as much value as I possibly can, because I too know that I'm a higher price point. Therefore, I know I have to consistently up my value giving game. I am not a race to the bottom, devalue myself to the best I possibly can to make it cheaper. My answer is never to make it cheaper, ever. My answer is to make it better so it makes the price make sense. Cool. Once I know that, then, if you come to approach me like you did and said, hey, man, I'd be happy to do this for you, right? that's how I saw it. I saw like there's an opportunity for me to showcase value without getting anything in return, because you don't have to pay for this information, and you get to talk to me and you get to hear what I have to think and my emotion and my passion and all that stuff. So you now then have to do the same thing from a customer standpoint, and that's then how you can facilitate your value in your business that you do. If you put yourself into my shoes and go, what does Bart care about? The second thing that's really important to understand is, I'm going to go back to nice guys. Okay. The reason why oftentimes businesses don't do as well as they should is because they often do polls and they often ask their audience more than they should, I think. Okay. So if every single decision I was to make about this gym, I asked the community first, the sad truth of the matter is most people have no fucking clue what they want. They have no idea what makes them happy, and they have no idea what they're really searching for. But what they do know is what they think they're searching for right now, and that they think that when they get it, they'll be happy. Right? Isn't that like a constant philosophical issue that most people have? Once I get the car, the house,
hedonic treadmill, yeah.
So if you get caught constantly asking your customer base what it is that they want, you will constantly be appeasing them and then constantly be disappointed that it's not returning like you thought it would return. And there's multiple examples of this. I didn't have a daycare. And so we asked, hey, would you guys like a daycare? And everybody was like, yes, we would love a daycare. I'd even pay for it. So I did it. No one signed up for the daycare. Right? Why? I don't know.
That's interesting.
They all told me they wanted one. Now, slowly but surely, it's filled up, right? It's a good thing that we do have it. But it was not something I expected to take a while, because I just had 100 people tell me that they would love to pay a monthly rate for a daycare. But when it's time, then they're like, well, I could have my sister watch the kids instead. I don't want to pay an extra $20, So if you get stuck, again, it's like the nice guys finish last thing. If you keep asking, hey, honey, would you like me to do this? Hey, would you like me to do this? Hey, would you like me to do this? They're going to say yes, but because they're having an emotional day, or because, you know what I mean? Like, people are so flighty that you'll be running around in circles, spending money and time on things that ultimately don't really create a return for you.
So how do you discern?
Right. And that's essentially why you have to be a very self-aware, very meditative, sit in some silence and some solitude, and really be honest with like the human experience. Go past the surface level shit and then really think about what it is to be like a fucking person, and what the typical struggles for a person are, and the typical emotional states for what a person has, and what a typical day for a person actually looks like. Like, run yourself through waking up and not really loving to go to work, or not really feeding yourself as good as you can feed. You drank one day after not drinking for a year, and you feel like shit for days afterwards, right? So in this emotional state you're in right now, in this physical state you're in right now, how could a gym change that for you? What little thing could happen when you walk into the gym that would spark a little bit of something for you? I think about that without asking you. I think about what it's like to feel a little hungover and then come into a gym. I think about what it feels like to have a breakup and be in that real nasty emotional state, and then decide to like fix yourself or get yourself out of the hole. And then the first thing you do is Google gym in my area. Like, I put myself in those positions so that I can relate to every single walk of life, because that's who I'm going to be dealing with. What they tell me verbally might be different day to day because of the sun shining, or they're not getting enough water yesterday, or some ridiculous reason. But the human state, the human experience doesn't change. The human experience is the same, where people want to feel love, they want to feel attentive, they want to have attention, they want to feel desired, they want to feel welcome, they want to feel inspired, they want to feel motivated. Like, there are some common human characteristics that they want to feel. And so if I can focus on those and kind of be, I wouldn't say deaf to the other stuff, but confident enough with my delivery to be able to solve those issues, I cannot get caught running in this fucking circle of trying to solve people's problems that aren't really problems. Because that's when a lot of times you'll get frustrated as a business owner, is you will put yourself in very vulnerable positions to try to help people, community, the public, and you'll execute, and it gives you no return, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you get cynical, then you feel like people are always trying to take advantage of you, and they only want stuff, and they're never willing to give back. I don't have any of that here, dude. I've been open 14 months. I have not had one. There have been maybe 3 situations where I'm like, this person's trying to take advantage. And typically what the response I think is from companies is like, fuck this person, cut them out, don't give a shit, right? My response wasn't to appease the person trying to take advantage. My point was to just stay firm on not budging and not bending to their will. And lo and behold, all of them but one were like, you're right, I'm sorry. And they went right back to the standard and right back to trying to give value back to this. Our customer base, 600 people on a daily basis, try to give value back to this because they feel so much of that value to them. And it's because I don't care about the surface level shit. I care about the human experience shit, the meaning, meat and potato stuff of what it means to be a person in today's day and age. And again, the only way you can do that is to be very honest with, you told me last Tuesday, the circle you run in is a very positive and good circle, and I love that. And that's an amazing thing because it's uplifting and it's energetic and it's positive and it's progressive. And I love that. But there was this proverb I heard once, and I'm not going to say it exactly because I have no idea how to. But the essential part was, it was a question. It said, who is more at peace? The guy who sits in the middle of a New York apartment with sirens blaring and all that craziness going around him, and he's okay? Or the monk in the monastery on the top of a mountain in the most remote part of wherever the fuck? Who's more at peace?
I think they're equally at peace.
I would argue that the guy in New York is more at peace because the monk had to travel away from literally every distraction known to man. He had to isolate himself on top of a mountain. He had to be in an environment where there were no distractions or any sort of, anything that could potentially take away his peace. And I think it's a lot easier to find peace in a peaceful place than it is to find peace in the middle of chaos. And I don't really think that the idea should be to make your environment peaceful. I think the idea should be to make yourself so at peace that no matter what the environment is, it doesn't matter. And so that has stuck with me. If I have to literally quiet everybody's mouths and I have to make sure that means I'm not okay. So I would much rather be the guy at peace in the middle of New York than the monk who had to sit on the top of a mountain by himself in order to reach that same state. And what that has to do with what we're talking about is, if you're helping people and you truly are putting yourself in the human experience and you're providing the help that you can provide, you become much more at peace when things come up because you know what you're delivering is on point. Mm-hmm. And that's when you don't bend to the will of everyone around you. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So is it that the guy in New York City is more at peace? This is an interesting concept because when I think of peace, I think like one number. There isn't a spectrum to it. It's like,
oh no,
if you're at peace, you're at peace.
Cool concept. Real quick. If you're courageous, what does it require to be courageous?
You have to be afraid.
Okay, so the level of fear that you feel can be greater or lower, but you're still courageous, right? I could be 1 afraid or 9 afraid or 5 afraid or 10 afraid. But if I'm executing courage, it doesn't matter. I'm courageous. So being at peace doesn't mean that you feel nothing except for peace. Being at peace is choosing tranquility in the face of all that other bullshit. That's why I think so many people miss peace, is because they think it's some sort of destination without anything else around it. Which is why I give that example of the guy in New York. The guy in New York hears the sirens. He hears the problems. He faces all of it and chooses tranquility instead. The belief and the knowledge that it's going to be all right, that I'm going to be able to accomplish whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. It's going to turn out the way it's supposed to turn out. That's peace. But you can only have that knowledge or that belief in the midst of the potential of that not being true. Right? You can't have something without its opposite. It doesn't exist.
Right. You can't have belief if you know it's going to work.
That's right. Right. And so peace is knowing. But even if you know something, it's challenged constantly. There will always be a challenge to your knowledge. At no point has anything ever been put on the internet and there not been a dispute about it. Mm-hmm. The most basic fucking shit.
Blue is the color blue.
Nope, sure isn't. It's the molecules of blah, 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 and they're transparent and the reflection and... Right? No matter what. No matter if the happiest human on the planet that somehow we're able to detect by fucking scale says something on the internet, they will be disputed. There is never a on or off or a 0 or 1. Right? Never. Even your computer can't do two things at once. It only does zeros and ones. That's what makes us so much better than computers. You think your computer's multitasking. It's not. It's just switching from one thing to the other very quickly. But humans are the only things that can really multitask.
You think humans can multitask?
Mm-hmm. Well, the argument is that we don't either. The argument, again, is that we just switched from thing to thing very quickly. That's fine. Again, dude, anything I say, there's going to be a counter argument.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is why a lot of people have trouble, I think, speaking on camera. And I'll catch myself sometimes, too, being my own devil's advocate. Because literally no matter what I say, I will be able to find a counter argument or an example of how it's not true.
Is there a piece in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you stop giving a fuck about the counter argument.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm always open-minded. I'll always hear what you have to say against what it is that I said. And then I'll filter it through my morals, my principles, my boundaries, all those things. And then either, it's valid and I should maybe change my approach, or I can acknowledge that it exists and it's going to coexist. Like, yeah. Like, no matter what you say, it's the opposite, which is, again, what we're talking about with peace. If you're looking, I had this conversation with one of my very, very closest friends. Excuse me. She talked about security. She read this book, and there's like 3 different archetypes. There's the secure energy, there's the anxious energy, and there's the avoidance energy. Mm-hmm. And the book describes all 3 types of people and how they approach things, and she was talking about like how she can't wait to be in the secure energy, like how she can. And I'm like, why do you think you're not in the secure energy? And she goes, well, because I feel very insecure. I go, that could go hand in hand. You don't have to not feel insecure in order to feel secure. Like, you have to understand that that's a normal feeling to have, but it doesn't mean that it's right, or that you need to follow it, or that you need to execute anything on it. You know what I'm saying?
Or take drugs to put,
That's the avoidance one, right? I can feel like taking drugs and not take them. Yeah. Am I a druggie? No. Do I want to? Sure. I've never done them before, but I'm sure they're fucking awesome, which is why so many people do them, right?
Yeah.
So if and that might explain why so many people have imposter syndrome or whatever, is like, everyone thinks of me this confident guy, but like, dude, I question myself constantly. But I don't lose my confidence because I'm allowing myself to question it. I'm allowing myself that it's okay not to know all the answers. And so then I'm confident because I don't think that I'm not something I should be. Right?
Absolutely.
If I don't think I'm at peace, like, and you're trying to look for that void of feeling to think that you're at peace, you're never going to be at peace because there's never a void of feeling. It's impossible. It's not a thing, right? So I think, again, just like the requirement to start, run, and make a successful business is far less than most people think, I think being a peaceful, content, happy person requires far less internal peace than most people expect.
So when you say, because I know there's certainly people out there, when you say like it takes less than what people think to start a business, people are going to say, well, you know, the comment section, oh, that's not true. It's not easy to start a business.
It is. It's easy.
Is it easy?
It is. 5-year-olds open up a lemonade stand. That's a business. Like it's that easy. It is. What they think isn't easy is all the shit that you and I talked about a couple episodes ago. Right. The scaling and the fucking.
And the shit that I think I need to know that I don't even know about.
What is a business, bro? Like what is a business transaction?
A value exchange.
That's it. Yeah. You give me something, I give you something for it. That's a business. That's as complicated as it fucking needs to be. And that's as much knowledge as you need to have. I make cutting boards out of wood, and you give me money for them. Oh, I have a business now. Cool. That's it.
Yeah.
Cool. Like that. And as you get more confident with your ability to ask for money for this wood that you made in your garage, then you're like, well, I can teach someone else to make this wood, and we can make twice as much wood. And then I have to learn how to pay that person, and then I have to, you know what I'm saying? Like that's it. But is that any different than fucking? I don't know how to start a podcast. What did you do? You took fucking microphones and you started talking to people. Like there's that confidence where you get to a point where you've started enough new shit that you didn't know how to do, that there's not a point that I don't think I could do something now. I'm not going to say I'm going to be good at it. I'm not going to say it's going to not take a long ass fucking time, but there really isn't much that I don't feel like I can put my hands on and figure out. Because that's all you're doing is just figuring it out. Taxes, LLCs, it's just one phone call, one Google search, one thing at a time. That's all it is. No one's born with this fucking information, no matter what. Yeah, well, you know, that guy was born into a multi-million-dollar family, and his dad taught him. Yeah, his dad taught him, which means someone had to teach him, which means go find someone to teach you. There's plenty of fucking people, you know? It's all just teaching, which is ultimately like, dude, once you go down the road, like this is why I like having conversations with you, is I feel like I'm sharing the experience. And I think that's the ultimate human condition, is to share this experience that we call life. Because if I were to do all this stuff and not be able to help anybody along the way, or like let this information live past my life, I don't know if it'd be fucking worth it. Because the positivity that you feel personally and that you only gain from whatever positive experiences I have, I'll try to explain it like this. I feel like there's a scale of happiness. And when you're a child and your experiences are limited, when I got a sucker, that was a level 10 happiness, right? When I got my dream car, that was a level 10 happiness. When I got my gym, 10 happiness. My daughter, 10 happiness. And I don't think that there's like a new generation of happiness, meaning like the sensation is there and you're just trying to repeat it enough times in your life where it made sense that you were here. And so I get to then relive some of these happinesses through you, and I get to witness you happy from my sharing of that experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I don't know if I've told you this or not, but I think I had one client when I was at my other job, and I hope they're not watching. But anyway, like when I talked to you, I came out here and I skipped a day of work, came out here, recorded this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's awesome.
And I had given myself like 3 months before I would quit. And then after I came in here, I quit the next week. Because it was the origin stories. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Man, I ruined your life.
This is how it all starts, man. Fuck
See?
yeah.
I appreciate you letting me know that, dude. Yeah. Like, I had an impact. Like, my time on this fucking planet mattered at least enough for a trajectory of life to change.
Mm-hmm.
Like tell me something cooler than that. I don't give a fuck how many cars you have. I don't give a fuck how big your house is. Like this feeling I have right now. I mean, like tell me that a person doesn't want to matter. Like I feel like I matter. You know, like that's massive. But I didn't tell you to quit your job.
No.
You know, I didn't do that. I shared my experience with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared my story and how I felt, and because it was asked about. I didn't go out there trying to get people to change the trajectory of their life. I lived a life, and then once asked, I shared it. The only way you can get asked, though, is if you live a life that's worth sharing. And again, the only way you do that is you risk embarrassment, risk failure, risk the shit that everyone's trying to avoid. I literally wrote a note. Note says, when you save yourself the potential of embarrassment, you simultaneously save yourself from progress and success.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that enough times, then you're like, dude, I just stop being afraid to go fucking try. And like you witness what happens afterwards, and it's always to the benefit of the person, even if they fall flat on their fucking face. You know?
Would you say courage is the most important muscle to develop?
I don't know. I don't know if it's courage. I don't know if it's I would say being numb. Yeah, I guess that is courage, man. I guess if you want to wrap it up in a nice bow, like, because determination and perseverance, confidence, they all require courage.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the courage is, again, that facing the fear. It's not destroying the fear. Anyone who says they're not afraid of anything is a liar. It's understanding the fear and understanding that it's not a boundary. Like, my fears aren't bump stops. My fears aren't walls.
Yeah, they're paper walls is what they are.
They're not even walls. Think about this. The dark side, have we talked about it on air? The dark side's energy?
Yep.
We have. So the dark side is arguably where the greatest energy of your existence comes from. Your ability to persevere and have courage and break through comes from a deep, gnarly, dark, nasty place inside you that you're trying to appease, but you have it under control. You have it on a leash. You have it in a cage. And so then you harness that energy to do good things.
Carl Jung called this the daemon.
Okay. Yeah. Tim Grover has in Relentless has a chapter on the dark side, you know, and he gives examples of almost every single highly successful person has some sort of scandal associated with their name. And those are times where they lose control of their dark side, right? The thing that was promoting them to do extraordinarily amazing things and crazy hours of practice and blah, 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 blah.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods' example is exactly what he gave, that he apologized for his dark side, and so therefore he relinquished his energy, and then he fucking didn't have any more confidence. But anyway, so the evil, the devil, you know, if we're going to do God and the devil, the evil wants you to think that fear is a negative thing because it's how it can control you from not expanding yourself. What we fail to realize is the fear isn't the devil. The fear is God. It's a positive energy wrapped in a dark package because the devil is trying to use it. Because if you figured out what that dark energy actually is, you would do incredibly amazing positive fucking things. But because it's dressed in a cloak and dressed as negative and dressed as dark, we stay away from it. We feel bad for having it. We try to avoid it. We try to kill it. And all we're doing is appeasing the devil because we're stopping ourselves from expanding and using the greatest energy source that we have.
Does that energy source have to be external, or can it be internal? Meaning, like, if I think of being bullied in high school, that's that dark energy that I'm harnessing.
It's exactly what it is. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Can that be internal also? Does it have to be external?
It's all internal. What do you mean external?
When I say external, like
Something happening to you?
let's say internal is me. I work out because I want to be the healthiest possible person. But then maybe there's another version of me that works out because I want to be bigger and stronger than my bullies, or I want to make my ex-girlfriend.
That's why most people do it.
Yeah.
Truly. They use it for a positive thing because they like to be healthy and this and that. But like you ask anybody, any avid, any highly successful person will tell you a fucking heinous ass story. I'm telling you, like, and even if they're not like, even if nothing, let's say you grew, okay, I have plenty of examples where people grew up in beautiful, 2-parent households with siblings, and they had money, and like, they were never abused, and they were always supported, and blah, 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 blah. You look at all those factors and you go, there's nothing like Bart, why would they have a dark side? There's the need to be accepted, the need to be the best, the need to earn love in specific ways, rejection from a 12-year-old relationship, these things stay inside of us, and as adults we try to fix them. So Tiger Woods, for example, I'm sure he didn't get any chicks growing up because he was too busy playing golf and his parents wouldn't let him and blah, 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 right? So his confidence a lot of times came from the need to have the attention of blah, 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 blah. That comes from a dark place. Well, he spun it in a positive way because he got attention through golf. And he got attention from beautiful women, and he married one, and he used it that way. You do that long enough, sometimes you let the guy out of the cage a little bit too far. And now he didn't use golf to get the women. He used his fame to get the women. And then he wanted to get a lot of women. And now it's just about the women and not about the positive energy he used because he wanted women. Does that make sense? So your dark side comes from something you are desperately needing to fix or solve or prove to yourself, And your awareness is how you harness it to do good shit because you have a conscience. But if we just let it rampant and let it go, that dark side, the universe doesn't care positive or negative, right? The universe is just molecules bouncing off of each other. So if your dark side requires this to satisfy itself, you're like, okay, I'm going to go satisfy it. And because of society and our rules and regulations and religion and all this stuff, it's deemed not an okay thing to do. So then you have to harness it, use your conscience. Go ahead.
How do I know if I'm properly? How would I know if I was harnessing it properly?
If you are doing extraordinarily great things that no one else is willing to do, and not many other people have the endurance to keep up, genuinely that's coming from a dark place. You've spun it in a positive way because you're executing positive things with it, but you're trying to solve a dark thing inside of you. For me, working out, dude, I was bullied. I had really big ears. I was Polish, so I never had like American clothing or anything like that, like my parents culturally. So like I always wanted to be the biggest, baddest motherfucker on the planet so that no one would fuck with me. No one would talk to me because they would just look at me and be like, respect. Because I didn't get any fucking respect as a kid, ever, at all. Especially coming from like European communist parents. Like during World War II, my dad was born, like he fended for himself. Like no matter how my life went, it was infinitely more cush than my dad's life. And he reminded me of that every fucking day. So I didn't earn my dad's respect because I didn't have a hard enough life. So he made my life hard. He didn't beat me. He wasn't abusive. But he didn't, my leash was fucking short, bro. So my whole life was gaining respect. Be the best at sports. Be the biggest, strongest motherfucker. I don't think that's ever going to die. I want to be the best at fucking everything all the fucking time. Always. I have just learned that you don't do that by tearing anybody else down. You don't do that by lying and cheating. You don't do that by any other way than doing like really, really good shit. But I'm using dark ass energy to do it.
Why do our parents want? Our parents want to make our lives easier. Like every good parent, you would say, wants to make their life easier than theirs. But they're never going to respect us because, or maybe not. It's all parents, but my dad is a similar way. The male figures in my life are a similar way. They want to make a life easier for me, but they're never going to respect me.
Let me ask you this, because what we're really fucking up is the word easier. So, for example, if I want to make my daughter's life easier than mine, what made my life hard? Was it the effort-based things I was doing? No, what made it hard was the lessons that I needed to learn in order to make my life easy. Well, the way I make her life easy is I put really hard shit in front of her so that she can learn the lessons required to make her life easy, right? There's thousands of quotes. Rogan has one. I think Jocko Willink has one where like, you do hard shit to make things easy.
Yep.
If you do easy shit, you make shit hard. So I'm going to make my daughter's life easier, not by taking obstacles out of her path, but instead by actively putting obstacles in her path to teach her these lessons as young as possible. Like picking up after yourself, making your bed first thing in the morning. My 3-year-old daughter does that. My 3-year-old daughter gets done. She likes to drink some milk every morning. She gets done with her cup. She walks it in the sink, puts it in the sink, walks into her room. We make her bed. My 3-year-old. No, I don't have to tell her. It's possible. That lesson will make her life easier. If I wanted to make her life cush, I would take the cup and put it in the sink.
Right.
I would make her bed. Cush and easier are two different fucking things. I will never make my daughter's life on purpose more cush than it has to be.
But you would never, the way that you've talked about, like, being afraid of your father in the past, you would never want her to be afraid of you.
Right, and that's the hard part, right? Because you want her to be disciplined, and I want her to respect authority, right? But I don't want her to respect authority to the point where she's a people pleaser and will just blindly follow somebody. So she needs to have enough respect for me as her father to listen to what I want her to do and to execute it, but not do it out of fear and blind following. I want her to know that what's best for her is to listen to me because she thinks so, not because I'm going to harm her if she doesn't. Does that make sense? Same way I would like you to listen to me. I don't want you to listen to me because the fear of not listening to me gets you punched in the face, right? Or I'm going to yell at you and berate you and call you names and make you feel little. I would like for you to listen to what I have to say because you respect me, which is what happened when you quit your job the next fucking week after listening to one of my stories, because you had respect for me. And I did that not by, patting you on the butt and making your life super easy and giving you all my money to do this podcast. And you know what I'm saying? I did that because I executed my own personal experiences to the best lessons I knew how. And then you saw what I was talking about through my life. My life represented all of those lessons I spoke about. Mm-hmm. And that's where parents sometimes lose their kids, is they speak all the lessons as beautifully as you can speak them and live fucking none of them. I lost my dad 10 years before he died because I refused to talk to a man who preached responsibility, be a man, do all that shit. He cheated on my mom in the open, in our house, in front of my mom, countless times. Then lied to me about it to my face after I already knew that was happening, over and over and over again. There's nothing that I didn't lose. I lost respect for that man instantly. His hold on me left instantly. Because I'm like, all this shit that he made me think he was just fear-mongering and ego tactics. Because when it was time to actually execute these lessons that he kept preaching, he failed miserably. Over and over and over and over again. So I didn't give a fuck how scary he was or how loud he yelled or how big he was. I had no respect for that man after that. Zero.
Was there a time when, at a young age, you desired his respect?
Yeah, of
And
course.
then when did that end?
The cheating.
At that moment?
That's when I stopped talking to him. Appeasing my dad was the hardest thing of all time.
Yeah. What did that feel? What was that feeling like when you felt like you didn't need his respect anymore?
Well, at first, dude, it was all anger based. You know, the situation with my mom and my dad was terrible. I'm an only child. My parents met in America while they were separately on vacation from Poland. So they didn't know each other. They were on vacation. They had me, and because they had me, decided to get married and stay in America. So they fucking hated each other my entire goddamn life. My childhood was not awesome. They weren't ever bad towards me. But if you want to talk about a family dynamic that was fucked up, I had a very fucked up family dynamic. I never had a family vacation. I either went somewhere with my mom or I went somewhere with my dad, never together. My dad constantly was abusive to my mom, not physically, but just as to me. If things weren't done his way, it was fucking hell to pay. One time, my mom had bought a church pew at like an antique shop. I was probably 13 at the time. And without asking him, he comes home one day, and they argue about money all the time because my mom painted nails. She didn't make a ton of money. My dad owned a general contracting business, so he made the money. You know, and they argued, like, whatever she made, she kept, and then we spent all of my dad's money, so they argued about that shit. Anyway, he came home pissed off, saw the fucking church pew, took a chainsaw in my living room, chainsawed it in half, and then threw it through the fucking window. My mom then tried to run at him with a knife. And so I tackled my mom and threw her over my shoulder. She was drunk at the time. Ran her into her bedroom, wrapped her up in her covers, put my knees on her shoulders, and just waited there until she fell asleep at 13 years old. So having that kind of dynamic, I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there. Because the anger I felt towards what type of environment I was fucking growing up in, I knew it wasn't right, and I knew it was fucked up, and I knew it wasn't where I wanted to be. So, but even then there was like a respect for the guy because he demanded it, you know what I mean? He fucking ruled with an iron fist type shit. But it wasn't until I saw him tuck his tail between his legs when he started making excuses as to why he cheated that I was really like, dude, this guy's just a fucking baby. Like, he's just a giant fucking ego baby. Like, and at that point, I wouldn't say it was freeing because, I mean, that happened pretty early. I was 17 when I stopped talking to him. But I knew I was on my own. You know, I was on my own. Yeah. When you stop demanding the respect of someone that you couldn't get, it's not that it's freeing, but what comes into play, I'll say this, what comes into play is my own thoughts a lot more. Right? When you're trying to earn the respect of somebody, what constantly goes through your mind is, what would they do in this situation? What would they think in this situation? How would they react in this situation? You keep having an out-of-body experience, trying to determine what another human being would do in scenarios, and then you're trying to act. So you're not really living, you're acting, which means you're lying. I stopped lying at that point no, that's not true. Because all I did then is I shifted my focus to someone else. At that point, I shifted my focus, and again, that's when my mentor became the person's respect that I was trying to get. So really, bro, it wasn't until 2017 that actually I stopped going for someone's respect.
2017.
Yeah. That's when essentially I ended my search for respect from one other person. And it became respecting myself. 2017, when I quit and started my own thing, is when I stopped giving a shit about anybody else's respect and just focused on having self-respect, legitimately self-respect.
Is that necessary to be a man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Did I show up? Yes. Did I take responsibility for things? Yes. Did I execute financial responsibilities? Yes. I provided. I was there. I was present. But without that self-respect, I don't think you can be a man. Because if you're constantly trying to appease another man or another person, it could be a mom, it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to constantly appease, you're not you. You're a shell of you. who's acting on all the lessons they think will get them that reward.
Lacking conviction to a certain extent.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, then you allow yourself to be disrespected.
Yep.
Right? If you're trying to earn someone's respect, your respect isn't number one, right? Your self-respect isn't number one. So as long as they're giving me respect, even if I don't have self-respect, I guess I'm still winning, right? And that's what a lot of people do, is they sacrifice their own self-respect trying to earn someone else's respect. And let me tell you, even when you do, you don't feel like you fucking win. You don't feel fulfilled. You don't feel happy. You don't feel self. You don't feel value. You don't feel desire. You don't feel any of those things. Which is why I think when you hear sports players where they're like, I was number one in the world and I was miserable. Well, it's because they respected number one in the world more than their self-respect. So what if they got there in a way that they weren't happy about? What if they're hanging around people now that make them feel less than? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like that self-respect is but self-respect is 1000% about looking yourself in the mirror and knowing that the lessons that you execute on an everyday basis are things you can be proud of. That's essentially all self-respect is. It doesn't mean that, like, you can't be negative to yourself or you can't have negative self-talk or any of those things. It's, did you have fear? Fuck yeah. Did you do something about it? Sure did. Self-respect. Were you aware of what you needed to do? No. Did you try? Yes, I did. Self-respect. That's where all that energy comes from, and that's what keeps you going past all the bullshit. For sure, 100%. And that's what and that's all I'm trying to share. I don't ever want someone to want my respect either. And really, when you give someone your respect, it's essentially because they only want their own respect.
You don't want other people to. You don't.
No.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? Extrapolate.
No. So here's the funny thing about it. Just like when you say, when I stopped caring about how people, like if people liked me, more people started liking me.
Gotcha.
It's no different. When I started having self-respect, I started getting everybody's respect.
Yeah. I've noticed that.
1000%.
Noticed that too.
When you stop chasing girls, they start chasing you. Like, it's self-belief, man. Like, you got to think, like, if a salesperson on a car lot is just hella enthused about their cars, and they hardly even care that you're on the fucking lot. They're just so stoked to have these fucking cars, and they're admiring them, and aren't you like, well, fuck it, I want that car, dude. Look how fucking that guy loves cars, and look how much he loves that car. That car's got to have value. So, what time we got?
What, 11 maybe?
Oh man, we went over.
Did we?
11:14.
Cool.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah. What did you get from all of that? What are you left with right now?
I'm left with some questions about why I want my dad's respect that I need to think about for a while. So,
do you think that's where your energy comes from to do all this? Have you contemplated your dark side?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of my dark side comes from inadequacy. When I was young, I mean, I hit puberty late. I was 5 foot tall, braces, all these things. I was just this tiny little kid that certainly didn't command respect, obviously.
So you got shit on a lot as a kid?
Yeah, definitely.
By girls?
Everyone.
Yeah.
But
one of the best things that could have ever happened to you, bro.
Right. Oh, 100%. I totally agree.
Isn't that like that's the part that got me fucked up as a parent, because I had this realization before Mika was born, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. But it sucks because you never want that for your kid.
Yeah.
But I want her to grow up to be a fucking monster, and she has to go through that to be a monster.
Right.
So I know if I'm gonna have to sit there and know that she's getting picked on and bullied and being mean, or having people be mean to her, and I'm gonna have to help her through it, and I'm not gonna fix it. And I'm not gonna do anything but watch as she progresses herself through it. And if I don't do that, I'm gonna fuck her up for life.
Right.
If I step in and I stop those bullies, and I step in and I stop all that shit from happening, and I talk to the parents and I do all that shit, I'm the fucker up, dude, and she's gonna be terrible. She's gonna suck. She's not gonna suck. She's gonna be less than she's capable of being.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's gonna have to learn those lessons at 35 versus 12.
Is our capacity, this is the determinism versus free will argument, I suppose, is our capacity as humans determined at that young age? Like you could, like, or is it out of our control?
Meaning, regardless of what my childhood was, I'd end up the way I am.
Yeah, like if my parents babied me and were helicopter parents and gave me everything I wanted and gave me everything I needed, and I didn't go through struggles because they gave me all of these things, is it even possible for me to gain a self-awareness to say, like, is that even possible?
No, because I have lived that. My mom asked her mom to come to America when I was born because both my mom and my dad worked full time, and she needed someone to take care of me because they couldn't afford daycare. So instead of daycare, she had my grandma from Poland, who doesn't speak any English, come and live with us to take care of me. This woman who raised my mom and now explains why my mom is the way my mom is the epitome of spoiling a human being. She didn't let me do anything. Bro, I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Her room was next to my room upstairs. I would yell, not even get out of my room. I would yell, "Babcha, I'm thirsty. Can you get me something to drink?" And this 70-year-old woman would walk downstairs and get me something to drink. I was the most spoiled piece of shit you have ever fucking seen. And if she was supposed to come on a 3-month visa, and she actually stayed for 13 years, and they finally caught her and deported her back when I was 13.
Holy shit.
Had she not been deported, I don't know if I would have had a chance if I was that guy any longer. Up until 13, bro, that was me. That was like, it's embarrassing to say, but that's the fucking truth. So, yeah, it makes a huge fucking difference. It makes a huge difference. The person I was at 13 versus 16 even was night and fucking day. Because now grandma wasn't there, and the only ones that were there was mom and dad. And dad ruled over mom. Dad had a hard time ruling over grandma because dad wasn't there all the time with me and grandma. But when it was just the three of us without grandma there, dad ruled. And dad wasn't having any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I'm here to tell you from my own personal experience, I have been raised both ways. And the spoiled way fucks you up.
Right.
Fucks you up bad. Real bad. Plus, my need for attention comes from that. My grandma gave me constant attention. You know how, like, a kid comes over and says, "Watch this," and you like does some stupid jump and shit. Like, my grandma would "Oh my God, that was incredible." So, like, I wanted attention, and I don't think that ever went away. I still have no problem. I enjoy silence and solitude, but if I'm gonna be in public, attention drives my value. Like,
Your perceived value?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. If no one notices me at all, I feel like I fucked up my value somehow. Which is probably why I have this fucking weird ass haircut and cared about being big and all that shit. That came from, like, if I don't have attention, then I'm not valuable. You know? So yeah, dude, I was a piece of shit kid, and if she continued to raise me, those weren't high on her priority list. Struggle, determination,
right.
Perseverance, all those things, right? So environment makes a huge fucking difference. Now, obviously, like, predispositions, people are genetically predisposed to certain types of character, I would say. But if you make your kid's life cushy, you're fucking your kid's life up.
How would a kid who is listening to this right now, because I think you have some people that are growing up well off, and how would you say, listen, you, like, snap out of this, like, you need to put obstacles in your life?
The main thing you have to do is detach. See, the one benefit I had of having a fucked up home life is I have no problem detaching. And it's sad because I wasn't connected to my parents. I don't really have a close connection with my mom. I didn't have a connection to my dad before he died. So like, I don't really have a problem disconnecting. Which is what's required of someone who is being gifted life. They have to detach from those gifts and actively say, I'm not going to accept these gifts anymore. Like, hey, I'll pay for your college. No, Dad.
Right. Yeah.
No, Dad, I won't let you do that. Let me just help with this car repair. No, Dad. No, don't help me with my car repair. But son, you can't get to work. I'm going to have to get fired. And then I'm going to have to figure out how to get a job without a car or earn enough money to get the car. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because what parents are doing, they're trying to help you facilitate the life that everyone just assumes you're supposed to lead. But like, if your car breaks down, you can't afford to fix it. What do? Learn to fix it yourself. Learning how to put a wrench to a bolt to change an alternator brings the cost of that repair from $1,200 down to fucking $150. So you're going to have to learn how to fix your own fucking car, pal.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But people are like, no, my car's broke. You can't go to work. You can ride a bike. Well, I'm not going to ride that far. Then learn how to fix your car.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But parents who love their kids don't want them to get fired. What would that feel like? How are you going to earn money? Obviously, money doesn't matter, Dad, since you're the one that's willing to pay for all this shit. So what's the point of the job?
That's what they're subtly saying. Yeah.
Exactly. Right? So you have to learn to detach from all the fucking gifts, man. Which is different than someone who struggled their whole life and then someone trying to do something nice for them. Let them do something nice for you. You've learned the lessons.
Yeah.
You're not learning anything new, you know? Again, black and white doesn't exist, dude. Everything's gray. Everything's a shade. Everything is somewhere on the scale. There's no on or off. There's no 1 or 0, right? It's never clear like that. There are some people who should take the gift, and there's people who shouldn't take the gift, and none of them are right or wrong. It's just the way it fucking is, you know? And there's no guidebook, and there's never going to be a fucking spreadsheet or an Excel that you can follow to lead the perfect fucking life. Sometimes the exact same decision in a different environment is the wrong one. And in another environment, the best one. Same decision. How can it be both? Same thing, how I mean, this is just a weird thought that I have sometimes, but like, our perception of death is this nasty, dark, sad funeral. But the Vikings had Valhalla, and it was like a fucking celebration. It's the same thing. Why are there two completely different perceptions of it? Because nothing is the same, dude. It's all, you know, it's execution of currency at that moment. That's what you have, and your currency are your life lessons. So, yeah. Young kids, if your life is cush, you know your life is cush, and make it less fucking cush on purpose. I mean, dude, isn't that not what I do every day? I put myself through workouts that I don't have to put myself through. I go fucking in cold plunges when I don't have to be cold. I put on a 40-pound vest and do a boot camp because I make myself way more than I need. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't constantly put yourself through obstacles, like your sword's gonna get dull. You're not going to be able to cut shit. You're not going to be able to fucking hunt. You're not going to be able to cut down trees. You got to keep your blade sharp. And you keep your blade sharp by putting yourself through shit you have to get through. So if your life is fucking easy, make it hard. It's as simple as that. Make your life harder on purpose. And when people call you crazy, say thank you. I'll see you in 10 fucking years and see where we end up. Fuck.
Cool.
Yeah. That's it. Don't be a fucking pussy.
Don't be a pussy. Consent. If there are any single ladies out there, I'm happy to take you on a date. So, figure I'd throw that one in there real quick.
All right, cool. Well,
Yep.
click, like, follow, subscribe. Fuck off.
Cool.